Okay, Fox News has learned from two law enforcement sources former President Trump has been indicted, that the grand jury in Manhattan has voted to indict him. Let's welcome back to the show New York Post columnist Miranda Devine. Miranda, your first reaction to this breaking news?
Well, it's just terrible for the country. It just further fuels division and fuels the suspicion that everybody on the right, every conservative has, that we have a dual system of justice where Trump and anyone who supports him, any of his voters, are going to be treated harshly and unjustly. This is a ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous charge. It's about hush money over an assignation that allegedly happened 17 years ago, hush money that both Trump and his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, who's the star witness, deny was ever paid. And Michael Cohen, who was jailed for perjury, he's a convicted liar, he's changed his story so many times, and the grand jury was told that in many ways, particularly by a very good witness, Bob Costello, who's a lawyer and former Southern District of New York deputy of their criminal division. It's just incontrovertible. The evidence is ridiculous. And why would you go down this path when New York is just awash with criminals that don't get charged and don't get locked up, and we're all in danger because of it? People are getting punched in the face. Women are getting punched in the face near Central Park, and Alvin Bragg does nothing about that, but he wants to arrest and make a mockery of the former president.
Yeah, he's downgraded about 52% of felonies into misdemeanors,
yeah.
Alvin Bragg. So the Manhattan DA is basically taking to court, with his grand jury indictment, a case that the Justice Department tossed out a few years ago, a case that the Federal Election Commission wouldn't take on, a case that a similar case, John Edwards, in paying money for an affair with his mistress, that was tossed out too because they couldn't prove in court that the payments were not made to avoid public embarrassment. So Donald Trump has already said he paid this money out of his own pocket. Now, do you think this case gets tossed out because Robert Costello, the legal advisor to Michael Cohen, was saying that the grand jury was only shown 6 emails detailing what went on in this case when he turned over 320 emails about this?
Well, the other thing is that the John Edwards case is the exact opposite of this. Donald Trump is supposedly in trouble for some sort of campaign violations for not paying the money, not paying the hush money. It's Michael Cohen paid the hush money, supposedly, but then he didn't, but then he did. We don't know what the truth of this is. Obviously, the grand jury's been convinced somehow, but why Alvin Bragg went down this track, why he's going to continue to do this, it's setting a precedent. I mean, this is the first time in history that this has happened to a president. He's setting a precedent for a very flimsy case. If you're going to do something as momentous as this, as divisive and destructive of norms as this, you better have a good case. And from the outside, this case is a joke. Everybody says it's a joke. Left, right, New York Times, New York Post, it doesn't matter who you talk to. This is an incredibly flimsy case. And I don't think the American people approve of having our justice system weaponized against the Democrats' political enemies like this. Donald Trump has declared that he is running supposedly against Joe Biden, if he runs again, for the 2024 election. And this is what the Democrats do to him.
So this whole idea about, get Trump, that's been the push for years, right? Get Trump. When you take out the words Trump and you take out every other name, take out the words, and you look at the facts of the case, normally, if this is true, taken to its conclusion, it's a misdemeanor that is usually settled with campaign fines and monetary penalties, not an indictment or criminal indictment where you're threatened with jail, Miranda.
Exactly, that's what I mean. And also the statute of limitations has run out. They're apparently doing something tricky with COVID on that score. As I said, it is a very flimsy case, and all you're doing is furthering the distrust that the public has in the institutions. And you're turning the 2024 election into a circus already. And you're just making Donald Trump more popular with his base, which possibly is the motive ultimately with Democrats. They want Donald Trump to be the Republican nominee because they think that they can beat him. They think they've done it before with Joe Biden. They can do it again. And remember, the Democrats are in a hell of a pickle because Joe Biden seems hell-bent on running again. I mean, he's already 80. And Kamala Harris is waiting in the wings, not showing any signs of wanting to fall on her sword. These are two people who are incredibly unpopular and unelectable, you would think. So I guess what the Democrats think they can do is get Donald Trump in there and then do the same demonisation and softening up. I've likened what they're doing to Donald Trump to what the picadors do to the bull before the matador, the old, decrepit, broken down old matador comes out. They just stab him and weaken him until he's half dead and bleeding on the ground. And the matador comes out and, you know, with a quick swirl, thinks that he can vanquish him. I think it's going to be hard to get Donald Trump down. He seems pretty resilient and has endured many slings and arrows in the past. But still, it's just not good for the country. It is a terrible thing. Donald Trump can look after himself, but I'm not sure that, you know, our polity can really survive this kind of abuse by Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, prosecutors working under Bragg's predecessor, Cyrus Vance, were basically reportedly rejected the viability of, you know, using a New York law to effectively charge a federal offense. I mean, Jonathan Turley has said, this is a case that will be high. It's made for a TV prosecution, high in ratings, but short on the law. That even the John Edwards charge, the John Edwards case was a more powerful case to, you know, accuse him and basically find that John Edwards was wrong. This case is so flimsy in its pretext because Trump could say, I paid the money because I didn't want to go through the embarrassment of, you know, hurting Melania Trump, or go through the embarrassment of, as a public figure. This case could do you think it could easily be won on appeal? That's what we are hearing.
Well, yes. I mean, it's a silly case. I don't think it has any hope of surviving an appeal. I mean, you know, like DC, you're going to probably find a jury in New York that hates Donald Trump. But this is also just one of many legal attacks on the former president. We have one in Georgia over election alleged, you know, interference, and we also have the special counsel is looking into alleged mishandling of classified documents. But I mean, that's all blown up in their face because Joe Biden has done much worse, allegedly. You know, they found now, I think, classified documents at 4 different locations. They just found them in his lawyer's office in Boston. They found it in his home, in his messed up garage, in his office, in his University of Pennsylvania, you know, other office, and they found documents that trace back to his Senate days, which is even more peculiar because you know that it's much tougher for a senator to have documents than a president or even a vice president. They have to go into a locked, secure room and they can't remove any documents. So how did he manage to do that? These are all questions. As a special counsel now, Merrick Garland had to even up the score and appoint one since he'd appointed one for Trump to look at Joe Biden. So I think that's pretty much neutralised that line of attack. Maybe Georgia isn't working out too well for them either, so maybe that's all they have left is this ridiculous case in Manhattan. You know, it's just a joke. Everyone around the world is laughing.
You know, the Federal Election Commission, this story too, the Federal Election Commission had fined the Hillary Clinton campaign for burying as a campaign expense their funding of the Steele dossier, which launched the Trump-Russia collusion probe and the Mueller, you know, eventually led to the Mueller report. But they were basically fined. It wasn't ratcheted up to a criminal indictment of that campaign.
Well, exactly. And this is the problem with this dual system of justice, where you saw the DOJ and the FBI being weaponized against Donald Trump from the moment, or in fact before he even took office. The Steele dossier was cooked up by the Clinton campaign, became the basis for their ongoing spying on Donald Trump, his campaign, people who worked for him, locking up people in his campaign, charging them with all sorts of, just throwing the book at them to undermine and cripple his administration. And, they actually did a pretty good job of that.
So it's now America's got Trump, right? I mean, Alvin Bragg's got Trump. So the reports coming in that Trump has been apprised of the indictment. Capitol Hill had no heads up. The White House was not apprised of what's going on. So now, what do you think of the Republicans wanting to basically call in DA Bragg and find out, his abuse of federal money going toward working on this indictment?
Look, I think that's fair enough. The Republicans in the House have an inquiry into the weaponization of the federal government, and it's uncovering some really horrendous abuses. And it looks as if, Alvin Bragg is doing the same thing in New York. It's just, it's a PR opportunity. He went into his campaign promising that he would get Trump, the same as Letitia James did in New York. We are just seeing Democrats who seem to be, on the one hand, whipping up hatred against Donald Trump and his supporters, and on the other hand, earning, campaign dollars and getting into office by sort of promising to fulfill that hate for their followers. It's really unhealthy. And I just dread to think where it ends. So
your sense is that they are really bending and pushing and torquing and twisting the law in order to go after a former president they didn't like. I mean, do you feel like Americans get that sense of what's going on, or do you feel a lot of Americans don't have that information and don't understand the importances and the importance of the nuances of that and how bad it is for the nation?
Well, I think it's, 50-50. I think, the people who watch your show and watch Fox News and read the New York Post and who are conservative voters, Republican voters, most of them, they understand what's going on and that this dual system of justice is incredibly damaging. Doesn't matter whether you like Donald Trump or don't. I think anyone of good faith understands that. But if you're that other half of the country, or maybe 45%, that gets all your news from the left-wing media, the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, CBS, and so on, you don't know about this. You have just been told, it's just ratcheted up like some sort of crazy radio signal going out in Rwanda before the Civil War there. It's just 24/7 hating on Trump, just maligning him, demonizing him. No human being is that bad. But they've created this appetite, this hunger, this bloodlust. And there are people who have been fantasizing all over social media for years about seeing Donald Trump in an orange, jail suit. And that's what they want. They want Trump behind bars. They love it. They're salivating over it. It's sick. And, it shouldn't be, people in politics shouldn't be pandering to it because it's going to come back and bite you. The Democrats are smashing all these norms, and what's going to happen, and what's already happening, you see with the January 6th committee, all the norms they busted there. Well, the House Republicans are doing the same thing. When the January 6th committee decides it's going to, put Peter Navarro in leg irons, basically, by charging him with contempt, and try and lock up Steve Bannon as well for just not wanting to come and be the sacrificial lamb before their star chamber. The Republicans can play that game too. So where does that leave the country? It's just rancor and division. And unfortunately, under Joe Biden, who I think, he won a lot of votes because he promised to be the unity president. And from day one, he's done the opposite. He's just demonized Trump supporters, 75 million Americans who voted for Donald Trump. It doesn't really matter whether you like Donald Trump or approve of him. You can be a never Trumper. But if you're honest, you have to look at this indictment and say, this is catastrophic for the country, and it's just terrible for politics.
Yeah, will send shockwaves through the political system, and it's going to push the American political system, to edges it's never been to before. Miranda Devine, thank you so much for your insights and perspective on the breaking news.